A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to welcome you to the 163rd BASL webinar and the 7th episode of the 5th webinar series, Beyond Code Practice. These webinars are conducted on Zoom, and for those who have been unable to join us and register on Zoom, could also join us by watching the live stream on YouTube, on the BASL YouTube channel. These webinar series are organized by the Seminars Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, headed by the Chairman of the Seminars Committee, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, whose brainchild these webinar series are. Together with convener, Mr. Pasanda Silva, Assistant Secretary, and co-conveners, Mr. Pandulavanya Rachi, Mr. Osha Nuberatna, Ms. Anne Devananda, and Ms. Nikini Mapitigama. I further take this opportunity to thank the President of the Bar Association, Mr. Salia Pires, President's Council, and the other members of the Management Committee for their support and guidance on this webinar series. Today's episode is with Dr. Dayani Panagoda, Attorney at Law, Legal Consultant of Legal Action Worldwide, and introduced and interviewed by Mr. Chanakya Jayadeva, Attorney at Law. Without any further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Chanakya. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you and good evening and welcome to the Beyond Code Practice episode 7. And as you have been following us, if you have been following us, you would know we feature different people on different walks of life who have the base start from law. And today, as Anne said, our pleasure to invite Dr. Dayani Panagoda, who is a specialist in a lot of experiences in areas we have not touched upon so far, that is international and intergovernmental work she has been doing. She is also presently currently serving as a senior technical specialist for global communities, an extensive career to integrate the training of professionals, women's leaders, and students in different areas of work. Dayani has a long resume. I'm not going to go through the resume, but we'll go straight and talk to her. Dayani, thank you very much for joining us, and you are joining us in very difficult circumstances. There's power cuts, and you are still with us, joining us from your vehicle, I suppose, right?
Yes, Chanak. Thank you very much for having me. And these circumstances will be over soon, but then we have to do what we have to do, right?
I understand. Yeah, it's actually a good start of a point of a never giving up position of a leadership to not to cancel it, but you don't have power, you don't have at home or anywhere, but you're joining us from a car. Now, this is itself is something, as you know, that we discussed before. This session is done for young lawyers to build up their leadership qualities and also build up themselves. And to show them that it is not only court practice or deed practice or boardroom law or something they can do, there are other avenues they can do. And one of the key things, Dayani, I had noted talking to my previous guests in the past 6 episodes is if it's the leadership skills you have to develop, right? And we will talk detail on that. But before that, just tell me, how did you end up in law to start with? How did law happen to you?
To begin with, why I did law is to satisfy my father. My father, I'm the youngest from a family of 18. And then my father and mother both school principals. And what they were saying is, we have a doctor in the family, engineer in the family, accountant in the family. So it came to a point where that there was no lawyer in the family. So my father asked, why not you do law? So by that time, actually, I did my A-levels and I had my marks to enter the university to do bioscience. But then my father said, what is the point of doing bioscience? And after doing bioscience, you will be only going to be a teacher. why not you do law? And that inspired me to apply for the law college entrance examination, and then I got through, and then I did law. So if you are to say, that is the reason that I did law, but I really like it.
Okay. So after doing law, you passed out and you went on a different path, right? And tell me the start of that journey. Was it in some chamber or law firm you started and moved, or how did it happen after that?
No, actually, from the very beginning, Chanak, it was my like kind of a forte to go to courts and argue cases for two reasons. One is that I wasn't very much interested in criminal law, although that I scored very high marks for criminal law paper. But at the same time, I am a very sort of emotional and empathetic person. I'm not saying that all the lawyers are not empathetic towards their clients, but I always had a point where that how am I going to quote the profession? But it was my nature or my characteristics. So what I did was I was also doing my LLB external degree, and then I applied to Kottalavala Defense University as an assistant lecturer, and I went there as an assistant lecturer, and that's how I started my career at very early, like within 1 year of my taking oaths. I joined Kottalavala Defense University Academy at that time. Now it is a university, and I started lecturing there.
Yeah. And so, but when you look at your work, can you walk us through your whole life now? You have done a lot of things in intergovernmental, non-governmental areas, and that has basically been your career path, right? Can you walk us through this?
Yes.
Life? How did
You
it
know
work
what
and
happened
what were the
actually when you
experiences you
are
had?
in the academic. Yeah, so when you are in the academic field, that you are like, open to various fields that you don't think that you as an attorney will ever come across, like for example doing research and also studying for security sector reforms or human rights. Of course, human rights is part and parcel of law. Either you can be a human rights activist or you can be a litigant. So something like that you can think of. But there were many opportunities. For example, I was right throughout doing my higher studies, and I was exploring all the opportunities, and being an academic, doing research. I was also being exposed to various sectors like child rights, human rights, women's rights, and also then security sector reforms, because I was attached to Kottalavala Defense Academy, and then peace and security, women, peace and security. And then also the fascinating area was conflict resolution and and transformation and the skills like that. So I had training in Uppsala, Sweden on that. Then I also had a couple of trainings in USA, in Hawaii, in India, on conflict transformation, conflict resolution, skills development, kind of an approach. Then I pursue on that. Whilst I was doing lectures in law at the Defense University, I was also pursuing that. And then I took my sabbatical. So this was the other opportunity that I was given, that once you work for 7 years, you get sabbatical. So I took my sabbatical and I went to the Bandaranaike Center for International Studies. This is where something that I also want to point it out, that most of the people who are coming to Bandaranaike Center for International Studies and also Bandaranaike Diplomatic Training Institute, where I still do lectures, opens the opportunities for many professionals, including the legal profession, to explore the possibility of joining the foreign service, and also to work towards career development in various other sectors where that you get exposed to the development sector, which you may call it NGO, INGO, but it is more or less the development sector that we call it. And also the civil society, where that you see all these activism is taking place, because there is this government, and then you also have the civil society who is working towards advocacy, lobbying, and various mediation and facilitation of various activities that you need to get done by the politicians or the political authorities or the local authorities at national level or local level, and also work with the other embassies and all that. So there was this whole a plethora of opportunities were in front of me. So I started with the Bandaranaike Center for International Studies. Whilst I was there, I also got the invitation to spend my time as a sabbatical fellow professor at the Johns Hopkins University, and also at the UN University for Peace in Costa Rica, where I also developed curriculums, specialized curriculums on transitional justice, conflict resolution. So that made me to join the Government Peace Secretariat, which is called Secretariat for Coordinating the Peace Processes during the height of the war, right? During the height of the war. So I was there, and that work was fascinating. I can give you some examples where the opportunities were like, you were able to go and get the LTTE child soldiers released by the LTT when the war was going on. And so you get them and give them to UNICEF to do the rehabilitation and reintegration. So there was such a lot of work that I was doing. And in the meantime, I was also helping the government by drafting policies, action plans on integrating the ex-combatants, civilian combatants. That work, when you were doing that work, I was also I was involved with the ILO, International Labour Organization. I was involved with the UNDP as a consultant. And then, so that's where the career that I moved on to one after the other in terms of as a policy specialist, and also as a strategist, and also as an activist, and at the same time to trying to do good. So there are things that you can do if you are like, and I must tell you one thing, that I'm also paid very well, right? I'm paid well. So it's not just that, don't think that going to courts is the only way to get a good earning, right? So this, I was paid well, and I was also, whilst I was doing all this work, I was continuing my visiting, lecturing, and all that. So I think when you are also working with the academic like that sector, and then also come and work with the development partners, and also negotiating things with the government, where that you get a good exposure. At the same time, you are very much happy and content in terms of what you're doing for the society. So that's where that if I look back, do I regret? No, not at all. Do I miss the going to courts? No, I don't. So this is where that, in a nutshell, that I can tell you how that the career move took place.
Yeah, among your, when you go through CV, you find that among your many faceted work you have done, one of the things that strikes out is what you have done in implementing and sharing women, peace, and security policies, right? these three areas. Can you tell us how? Why I'm asking, Danny, is for the reason that the young lawyers who are watching this, for whom this is meant for, they maybe wanted to get involved in non-governmental organizations, work in different areas, and these three is very rare areas. It's not a regular foreign service or anything like that. So the expertise you have had and got involved in formulating and implementing, I think policies in this area of peace, security, and women especially. I mean, we just finished the International Women's Day yesterday.
Yes.
With a very meaningful celebration this year in Sri Lanka, if you had seen the coverage in the media. And so can you tell us something about that? How or could a young budding lawyer or a lawyer who's in the first years get involved in those areas which you have? I mean, there are other areas which we'll talk a little later, but these three which strikes me from your expertise.
So there are two ways.
What does this
One
mean?
is that you can
Start with what it is been and how can one get involved?
So there are two ways. One is that you can initiate on your own way. You can have your own institution, or you can be your own activist and start work. I know there are many people who have done that. Second is that you can be looking for jobs that are available. Take that chance, take that opportunity, take that risk. Don't think that, oh, if I leave the legal profession, then I will not be able to come back, and that I will not do well in that new area where I don't have any idea of, or that where there is not many opportunities. No, it's not that. I mean, on a daily basis, if you look at all the websites that are sites that are kind of calling for application, see that there is areas of women, area like women preventing violent extremism, then also peace. Like when it comes to peace, it's social cohesion, reconciliation. If at all Sri Lanka, you can do that. And then there are other countries who are like, if you go to the UN website, if you go to the UNDP website, if you go to the GIZ, USA, you can see the team. Being a lawyer, you have an advantage. Everybody likes to kind of hire a person who is a professional, who has professional qualifications, and they also believe that they will have a professional approach to their job. So very many people are happy to do that. So how I went into this segment is actually I was very much committed to my academic career, research work, and also that involves in because it was also with the Academy, Defense Academy, I was doing human rights research and bribery, corruption, and all that. But I have to be honest. I lost my husband, who was in the Navy, very early stage in my life, and that really triggered me to trigger that I should do something. I should do a change, and I have to work towards ending the war, or work with the women who are suffering, because Chanaka, that 90,000 war widows we can find in Sri Lanka. Some of them, like for example, the military war widows, they are somewhat okay. But if you really look at the women-headed households, those who lost their husbands to the LTT side, I mean, they are very helpless, right? So we need to, somebody has to work towards them. And there are many women and many lawyers who have not gone to courts but are working with these women. Now there are many opportunities that we have to work with these women to bring get them to get the services offered by the government, for example, Office of Reparation, Office for Missing Persons, Office on National Unity and Reconciliation. Most of these, that is when I see this working with women. It is very important, women and girls, because girls are the future of any nation. And you and we all agree that they say that if you educate a girl child, that you are educating the entire community, right? So I wanted to help them. So I work with many organizations. That's how Sri Lanka in 2019 from the UN, which gives the UN Peace Award, that is N Peace Award, for the work that I have done in Sri Lanka, bringing all these aspects into the especially the reconciliation agenda and the peace building agenda.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So and presently your position, you're currently holding a job which is the we call it let me get the title. What's the title?
Legal consultant to the legal action
true,
worldwide.
but there's another title to that. It deals with I'm not getting the word here. Anyway, in the present job, there's two words that are used called global community, right? What is the global community? How do you define global community? What exactly?
Actually, Chanakya, I was working with the global communities since from 2017 to last January. Actually, 31st of January, I quit that job, not for any reasons, but because I think I have done enough and I want to move to some other areas. This Global Communities is an international organization, international non-governmental organization, and it's for profit, right? You have two types of international non-governmental organization. One is for profit and one is for non-profit. So this is a profit organization, but I think I think you are an alumni of UN visitor program, right? So USAID has USAID gives grants. USAID calls for organizations to apply for big grants to work in various countries, like they are supporting. So similarly, UNDP, all these donor agencies in the development sector does it. So when the USAID asked for called proposals to improve social cohesion and reconciliation in Sri Lanka, Global Communities applied, and I was in their bid as one of the key persons, as technical director. So they won the award, and then we implemented programs here in Sri Lanka. And we are still continuing the SCORE project that Global Communities is here in Sri Lanka and continuing this project until 23 December. And maybe there will be a second round. So that is how that I joined that. And they actually headhunted me for that job. And they were looking into who is doing in this social cohesion and reconciliation area. But if you really look at, if you go through all the UN agencies, there are so many UN agencies here in Sri Lanka: UNDP, UNFPA, UN Women, UN ODC, you name it, UNICEF, all of them call for, like, either they call for applications for you to join, or they will always call for grants that where you can go and work as in your own organization or join another organization. So that's how the whole entire development sector works, and there are many opportunities. So what happened was after January 20, this year, I joined the Legal Action Worldwide. This is a very small INGO based in London, and basically all women lawyers, and they are all lawyers. And what they work on is that again, empowering women lawyers. We are working here with we are planning to do work with Bar Association, but we have worked in the past with the Attorney General's Department, empowering, especially working on the lawyers who are taking the cases on women and children, right? What is there is a big, for me, I see that there is a big vacuum in that area to empower lawyers, empower even judges, and also to see that what else to be done. So currently I'm the legal consultant, and we are having various stakeholder dialogues, and then we will be then designing various programs. So it gives you an immense pleasure in working in these environments and still connected to the legal field, still connected to, because we go and meet with the Ministry of Justice, we work with the lawyers, we work with the judges, we work with the Attorney General's Department. So you are still connected to the legal fraternity, but at the yeah.
Okay. Now, tell us something about, we went through your experiences and how I'm sure it will help a lot of people to understand about the workings of these areas we've been working. Now, for young people who have wanted to come and join, see, this is for a career beyond law, beyond the law practice, not beyond law practice and beyond boardroom, and beyond those things. So, how can one approach? I got two questions coupled into one. One thing is, before coming into the type of work you were doing in INGOs, as we call it, or any other non-governmental organization, or this peace building, women's rights, security, policy related, all those things, which are generally done by INGOs. Before getting involved, my first question is, should you, in addition to law, addition to your legal qualifications, study something else and come in and try your way in this area of employment? Or can you just come in straight and try to join and with your hands-on experience and learn as you go on? How does it work for a young person?
In my opinion, and also my advice is that first and foremost, you need to understand, you want to see to yourself as to what you really want to be in 10 years, or in if you really like the court work and all that, then there is no question about it. But if not, then you need to understand what is that inspires you, or how do you want to see yourself engaging with whether it is you want to engage with the community, or whether you want to engage with the government officials, or the like kind of doing research or reforms or things like that. Then, and also whether you really want to work with women on their women's issues or human rights issues, or then work with the child rights or the preventing violent extremism, or any other area. Then actually, whilst you are considering all these things, maybe you are still in the legal profession, a career, and maybe working with a lawyer or working in a firm. But there are many disciplines, many courses available in the universities in Sri Lanka and also in the private institutions. Like, for example, Colombo University and the Open University gives a lot of such courses on development studies, gender studies, and all that, human rights studies. So then you need to pick one or two of those. What is that really interest you and get that qualification as well. So whilst doing that, look up for the jobs, because there are places young lawyers can be sort of short-term consultancy they can do, or they can go as interns, right? And then especially UNDP takes interns, GIZ take interns. So you need to look up for those opportunities and then go for it. And some others, I have seen many who are in the beyond courts, as you say, doing other jobs like me, have also taken interest in furthering their studies towards the area that you want to do, or that you can become a social entrepreneur or an entrepreneur and then do that. So that is something that you need to, like what we say is self-assessment. And what we see is that you can talk to people, that this kind of programs are very important, therefore. And then you can reach out to, you can read various biographies as to how people have done. For example, both Barack Obama and his wife are lawyers, and then how they got involved in politics. Now, if you look at our parliament, there are so many, I think 70% of them sort of, they are not reforming, or they are not working with the with our education system and the education curricula to change it to the where that there is a demand so that people learn. We are still struggling with same old courses. Now, there are many political science degree holders who are just doing nothing but teaching or some other jobs. Those who have done degrees on political science, I see them in the development sector doing some work towards programming and all that. So similar to the legal profession. So I think that also comes with what you want to do, what you like to do, and also what you think that is important in your life. What are your priorities, and based on that, there are many opportunities.
Yeah, okay, sorry. One of the things that people would like to know, even if I never thought of being in foreign service or NGOs, but this is a complete different culture now than when you go. It is not the culture you will find in Halsdorf, or it's not the culture you'll find in law college or law school or in Sri Lanka, right? So most of the people are young lawyers are born and bred here, and they may have international degrees like LLBs, there are a lot of LLBs, but when you go into these places, it is not even sometimes not even a semblance of culture you'll find in our private sector or the government sector here, right? So the what shall I say, the working culture and the getting trained culture, was it easy for you to adopt? Because that is something that even people have chats with me, young people, that we don't know whether we can stand that environment, right? Because it's strong, and that they're very demanding and that kind of a thing, right? Sometimes when you work in foreign embassy in Sri Lanka, that issue is there. One question on that. And since this INGO things, this might be a googly, as presenters we always like to put that. Is there racism when you work in an INGO for colored people? So,
I'll take the first question first. Yeah. The culture, whether we can stand, I think, even if you are a practicing lawyer, even if you are joining as a legal officer to any company, you have to work hard. If you don't work hard, if you can't commit yourself to the job that you are doing, that you cannot get up in the ladder, right? There may be a culture where that you can get up in the ladder in the different ways, but for me, it's the hard work that gets you up there. So the time demanding that time from any person, it's equal. Or I think now, for example, in my case, of course, one can say, oh, you can do all these things because you don't have a family. Yes, I lost my husband early stages, and then I didn't get married, and I don't have children. However, I know there are many others. If you look at, I think you should speak to Shamala Gomez, who is also a lawyer, whose husband is also a lawyer. Both of them are in this kind of a setup. Mario Gomez and Shamala Gomez, and then grown-up children. Daughter topped the batch of the law faculty, and she is, I think, now studying in Harvard. So law, and then see, this is how you manage any job. You have to manage your time. You cannot see that this work demands more time than the legal profession or being a legal officer somewhere. But the plus point is, when you do this kind of work, you get to see the world in terms of you go to the rural areas and you talk to women, and you will understand how privileged you are compared to them, where the struggles, that challenges that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And not only a woman, if that woman is a disabled person, or if that woman is a widow, or if that woman is a woman head of a household, then there is enough problems. But still, it gives you the satisfaction as well. So there are many ways that you can also, while doing the job, you are doing your job, right? You are still connected to the society, and you also get your money to make sure that you have your food and other things, right? And also you are doing a service to the community, and you are with the people, you connect with them. So I think that kind of exposure you won't get anywhere. So when it comes to the culture of your second question, whether there is racism.
Yeah, whether there's a racism for colored people working.
In Sri Lanka, there is a big, there is a lot of talk about, like, saying that most of the jobs are given to certain ethnicities in the past, and even in current situation is the same. But I don't think so, unless that you really have not performed well. It's very difficult to see that there is ethnic focus discrimination taking place or marginalization taking place. But that doesn't mean, having said that, there are places and there are certain instances where people have brought this up, and this is something that have been spoken about. But I don't think that one should get discouraged by hearing these things, because maybe 5% to 10% it is the case. But even if you look at the legal profession, or even if you look at the banks, sometimes people also say that the banks or the foreign funded projects like ours are only taking the English speaking Colombo based people, recruit them. It's not the case. They are very much open. But there are, I don't say, I don't want to deny, say that no, there is no racism, or there is no marginalization, there is no discrimination. I think that is normal in every profession and every sector. So it's the same commonly applies to this sector as well.
Okay. What I meant first, you answered it in very broad way. Racism can have two different ways. That is, like, foreigners favoring foreigners, and also, like, you delve deep into that and picking from different communities. Anyway, another question that comes about this working culture, apart from the working culture, is it's about now you do a lot of work with women and you explain very detailed what works you do. This is coming up from young, even in my time, the lawyers and who are in my time batches. One of the things that ladies picked legal officer jobs, right? Or work part-time in a chamber, or worked as a deed lawyer. One of the reasons was they were articulating that they eventually will have to get married and have children. That is not as you start, but this is for starting lawyers and as you start in a few years' time. And then they will need more time for the family or divide the time equally for the children. Now, whereas if you go as a full-time, as they call it, career woman, now these are beyond court practice. No? Court practice means you can come home half a day maximum, you can adjust with your senior, go to chambers evening and all that. But whereas if you're working for an 8 to 5 job, especially the question comes up in commercial sector, like you correctly explained, commercial banks or whatever institutions, and institutions like this, which are very demanding because the work itself is demanding. So there's a hesitance on female lawyers, some of them, because there's a school of thought that they might not be able to balance both. At one point, they might have to give up that for the family, or the family will crumble apart and there'll be matrimonial problems with husband and not paying equal time. Now, as a woman who has worked a lot in women's issues and sorting on that, what is the answer for this? What is a broad? I'm sure you can give a broad answer and a solution for this, especially for the young people who are watching.
Yeah, so maybe me as an example may not be the right thing to do, because people might say, oh, you don't have a husband, you don't have children, so you can do whatever you like. And people have been saying it to me, you have all the time on earth to do these things. However, I know various people, I mean, you know, not only the lawyers. Now, in this development sector, you find grants officers, or right. So they don't go join the accounts firms, or they don't do private practice. They don't join a company, but they also work in the in this non-governmental sector. It's the same. It's the same. But my simple answer is that none of these things should be a barrier when it comes to your decision making. If you make an informed decision with regards to your future, whether you want to make more money, or whether you want to be with the family, or whether you need to be to work towards the community, is what is important. And then how you manage your time and how you work with your you know, we also have deadlines. Now, for example, even though that you come back home by 2 or 3 after courts, don't you think that you still have to spend time to get ready for the next day, or that clients will come to see you? If you are doing that profession also right, fully, and then also doing in a very lucrative manner, then you will be anyway busy, right? So that is where that we need to break that stigma. We need to break that certain jobs are good for the women, especially when they are married. So certain jobs are not. Now, for example, these days, you know what teachers are saying? Teachers are having half a day, after half a day, like, you know, they go home, and then every 3 months, 1 month kind of a vacation. But teachers are if you really talk to teachers, they really work so hard and they hardly have time to their family. So it's nothing to do with this profession or that profession. It's about the mindset. And it's about how the society see it. There was a time in our society, especially the Asian culture, is such that women are there to be at home. They need to be at home and receive the husband and make food for husband and children and do the house chores and all that. But I think it is changing now, and it is changing in such a way that husbands are also helping the women. So husband and wife together do their housework and bring up the children and do their homework. So it's how you manage your environment. So it's nothing to do with what kind of a job that you do, right?
Okay, so you're basically saying that being involved in full-time jobs in INGOs and non-government institutions and the work type of work you're doing is not something that will be a bar for you, for a woman to bring a good family. That's what you're saying, right?
No,
if
no,
the cohesion
no.
of the both parties, husband and wife, are coherent about their work and they work properly. Right. I would like to ask you some in brief. Can you tell us if you were to advise young lawyers, what are the what shall I say, leadership qualities and qualities other than, okay, you gave a very elaborate explanation about what other qualifications and how you can take them other than law, because it's going to help in this, like any field, even in non-government organization. So the types of qualification, but then that is there, then the law qualification there. Other than that, leadership qualities and other qualities that one should in an INGO and working internationally, not necessarily an INGO, even foreign service, and there are a lot of other places. So what should one develop or cultivate and have?
Yes, you need to be a leader. You need all these leadership qualities. However, let me also say that most of the people in this sector and even in the international relations or the those who are joining the foreign service, one thing that what we need to do is, since you have gone through the legal studies, there is some kind of a confidence given to you. So sometimes you may react to everything because you are confident, and maybe that overconfidence may hurt other people. They think that we are arrogant. They think that you are not compassionate. You are not a good listener. So things that you need to improve, the skills that you need to develop is to listen and your analytical skills, because everything cannot be a logic. We even today, sometimes when I say certain things, they say, oh, the lawyer is talking, but that is not in a bad way, because now they know me very well and they know how I have worked. So initial stages, maybe that you will struggle with that. Sometimes that you may not be able to convince the others at the first instance, right? Unlike in the courts, so unlike in any other cases where we should not give them that, it's not my opinion that you have to be always think it's right and that you have to do. So I need to take a back seat. I need to listen, understand, then speak. So these are like communication skills you need to develop. The other thing is that you need to develop is your research skills. Like, you need to be a person who is hungry to know what's going on around, what's happening in Rohingya, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the world right now, to be upfront with all these things happening. So you need to read. So you need to be a kind of a reader that who can not only read, but also read and understand and also articulate it back to others. And so that when you put forward your points, that they will know, okay, you have knowledge, you have an understanding. Then thirdly, that you need to, if you are like any other, like even you are a criminal lawyer, so you are like basically the penal code. So similarly, whatever the area that you are working in and working for, you need to be you need to read a lot, and you need to understand, you need to do networking. Now, for example, for today, I can pick up my phone and call in kind of many people on an issue. If I want to talk about an issue of women, and then arrange a workshop or a seminar or a webinar or something, I can do it with my phone. So I have a huge network. So you have to do a networking.
Building
You
up a
need
network
to,
is very, very important.
very
for
important,
professional.
very important.
Right.
Networking is one of the key things.
Yeah.
And also you need to be very kind of, you need to show your empathy, and you need to be passionate about what you're doing. So if you have all these things, you can go ahead and conquer the world.
Diane Panagoda, thank you very much for joining us. We would love to talk to you more, but we are running out of time on this webinar series today. And thank you for that very inspiring and invigorating thoughts you have shared and advice you gave to our young lawyers. I'm sure it will be helpful for them to joining not only non-governmental organizations and INGOs and the type of work you are doing, but in any other sphere as well. Right. Thank you, Dr. Diane Panagoda, once again for joining us for this webinar series. And we hope to you will join us once again sometime in the continuing legal education programs and other programs of the BSL. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope that I did justice. And if anybody wants to know anything, they can always contact me. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And that's the seventh episode, end of the seventh episode of Beyond Code Practice for today. My guest was Dr. Diane Panagoda. You can go, if you have missed this and other episodes of us, you can go to our YouTube site, BSL YouTube site, and watch all our programs, all our webinars all over again. But to get in touch with what are the up and coming webinars and this Beyond Code Practice, as well as other series, subscribe and keep in touch with the BSL text messages and the emails, and you will get to know very soon when our next webinar of next episode of the webinar series Beyond Code Practice is. Thank you for joining us once again, and have a good night and have a good rest of the week. I'll see you soon.